Hi writers! Welcome to the video on our syllabus. I am Professor Walker, your brave leader for your summer, your 6-week intense English critical thinking through literature course. This video I would like to go over the syllabus. We have a little tab here that says syllabus. If you click on it, you will find an attachment to our syllabus and some information on there. I will also be doing optional Zoom sessions this summer in light of COVID and the fact that so many more people are taking online classes who are newer to it. And so again, those are totally optional. They're fun though, if you are interested. But to go over the syllabus with you, this is our syllabus. I know that a lot of times you have a syllabus in a course and you don't necessarily talk about it. I wanted to take time to talk about our syllabus because this is the structure for how we're going to engage in learning for the summer. And there's so much on it that I know that sometimes it can be overlooked or it can be overwhelming. And so I just wanted to point out some things on the syllabus that I think are really helpful and I think will help you specifically. And then if you have any questions or concerns, you can let me know and I can answer those questions, or I can make revisions based on the feedback that you give me. So a lot of good teaching requires revision and feedback. So I'm always open to criticism on that so I can evolve. So we have our course information. I am teaching 2 sections of English VO 1B. I typically teach this course in the summer, and so I've gotten better at it over the last couple years. I really love this class. This class is a really fun class. It's very different than English VO 1A, which is the course that you were required to take before you signed up for this class. It's through literature, and so in some ways it can be overwhelming and intimidating for some people, and other people feel much more comfortable in the wheelhouse of literature. And so depending on where you're at, we will be mindful of that for you as you navigate the course. But one thing I always say, and my son said to me the other day, it really just takes practice. Anything you want to be good at, just takes some practice. He was like, Mom, it just takes practice. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And so I apply that to myself, but I encourage you to remember that so you're patient with yourself as well. Here's our course information. I'm holding office hours on Thursday mornings from 9 to 10:30. I'm also available by appointment. This is my cell phone number, or you can email me. You can email me through Canvas fairly easily if you are on Canvas. You can go over, I'm going to try to move my screen. Depending on how you set up your actual account, you can have an inbox tab here on the left. And you can always email me through that feature. That will go directly through Canvas, and that's a great way to get a hold of me. I check Canvas quite often as a teacher, and so I will get it there. You can also use the link that is on the syllabus, and that one goes to my VC email. Either way is fine, and I will check it. If you have questions or concerns, you are welcome to post them on the discussion board. That is our very first discussion. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It is the first one that pops up to make it kind of easy for anyone who might have questions, comments, concerns about anything. It could be about an assignment. It could be about directions that I've given if they're unclear. I find it really helpful when students post questions here that are for general population here. That way I can answer the question here, or someone else can hop on and answer it, and we can all work together to help each other out. I find that a really cool part of collaborating in class. And so you can post here by clicking reply. It already knows when you're logged in that it's you, so whenever you post something, your name and information will pop up saying that you posted it. Also, something that's new on my syllabus that I've never had on here before is these requirements of what makes a good reader. I just finished taking a reading apprenticeship course. It's my second course in the last 2 years, learning how to teach reading and reading strategies. One thing about reading that's super tricky is that if I'm holding a book and I'm looking at the book, it doesn't look like a lot is happening. It just looks like my eyes are scanning, and reading appears to be a very passive activity, when in fact it's a very intense, elaborate, active activity. And so some of the things I'm learning in the Reading Apprenticeship course that I wanted to share with you are a couple different things that I have on the syllabus. And the first one is on the first page, and it says, what makes a good reader? And then it says the following key habits of good readers are widely recognized by literacy researchers. So literacy isn't just can you read or not. Literacy is reading and writing and interpreting the world around you. And that means that you have spent your entire life building on your own literacy. It means that from the moment that you were born and could hear or see or watch and observe, you were learning speech patterns and listening to stories or singing, and all that goes into our literacy. If someone read to you when you were a child, if you picked up reading quickly, we each have our own literacy history. And so part of the Reading Apprenticeship course for me that I find useful, that I share with writers, is to track your own literacy history. Think about, what was the first book that stood out to you? What was the first story you remember? And why do you think you remember that thing? What is your relationship to language? Are you a multilingual person, or do you speak more than one language? You know, all these things shape and influence the way you view yourself as a reader. And so being first aware of it, like acknowledging your own literacy history, is super important in the step towards evolving and setting goals and growing stronger in your skill set. And so I wanted to put this on the syllabus because I think it's important to acknowledge that reading is complicated and it takes time and practice, even in college. And so good readers are mentally engaged, right? You're imagining the things as you see them. I'm reading Percy Jackson with my son right now. He received the book set, the series, from my twin sister for his 8th birthday. And so we started reading The Lightning Thief, the first one. And that book is such a great book for imagining. I mean, I can picture it as I'm reading because it's so fantastical. You know, it's based on Greek mythology, and I don't know all Greek mythology or even, you know, scratching the surface of knowing Greek and Roman mythology, but I know that my imagination just starts going off into these beautiful places when I'm reading that book to him because it's so fantastical. And so that's what we do when we're reading. Our mind is engaged, right? When we're good readers, we're motivated to read and to learn. We're persistent in the face of a challenge. This is a good life skill as well. We call this resilience. You know, we don't give up. I had a lot of reading problems as a kid. I was never diagnosed with a learning disability, but I struggled, and I was very, very shy and got really nervous when I had to read out loud to other people. And so I had to work through that. And it took me a really long time. Even into college, I was still working through that. But I just had to be brave, and I had to just put myself out there and take risks. Another thing that good readers are is they're socially active around reading tasks, and they're strategic in monitoring the interactive processes that assist comprehension. So annotating a text, writing on it, putting a question in the margin, and those are all things we're going to talk about over the next 6 weeks. So we'll just scratch the surface of those, but hopefully we'll engage in strategies for active reading that you will find useful and worth your time. And they will actually help with your comprehension. They'll help you build your confidence. And most importantly, they will help you to see yourself as a good reader. That's important, is viewing yourself as a good reader and believing in your own skill set based on practice and forming good habits around those things. So let me scroll down here just a bit. So there's also another part of this, of what makes a good reader, and that's setting goals to shape your reading processes. So being disciplined with how you read and where you read, if you need a quiet space, if you like listening to music, if you love having highlighters and color coordinating your annotations. These are all little silly things that we often take for granted, but they're really great strategies for becoming a better reader. Monitoring their emerging understanding of text. So being aware of when you get lost or confused, being aware of when you have questions. So we have this kind of consciousness, and then we step back and we look at how we're learning. We have this metacognition and reflection. We can use metacognition and reflection to not only be aware of where we're at, but to help kind of push ourselves towards the goals that we have by acknowledging where we're at. Reasoning with texts in valued and discipline specific ways. Every discipline is its own language. We have math, we have history, we have art history. There are different ways of discussing these things, different vocabularies, different literacies in every single discipline we encounter. And so that acknowledging that is also helpful. And then the last one is coordinating a variety of comprehension strategies to control the reading process. And those are some of the things I mentioned earlier. Super important in working towards becoming a stronger reader. That's the foundation of all of our learning is literacy. It's reading. Whether you're in English, whether you're in math, whether you want to be a neurosurgeon, whether you want to work on cars as a mechanic, literacy is what's going to help along with practicing that skill, but using that text-based knowledge and applying that in your practice. Super important. Our required texts are here. Fences is a play by August Wilson. I do have an online version, PDF. You can even Google it, probably find it if you don't prefer to buy it, although it's very thin, and sometimes it's helpful to have it in front of you. The novel that we're reading at the end of our semester, at the end of our summer session, the last 2 weeks, is The Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. You can order that in the bookstore or on Amazon, and you can order that in the beginning of our session and get it by the time we start it. I'm just going to keep scrolling down. So as you know, our course is 6 weeks fully online. So it requires you to engage in self-directed learning and ask for help. This is one of the most important lessons I've learned in my life, and I'm still learning at 40 years old, is ask for help. Don't be too shy or too prideful or too anxious or nervous to ask for help, because helpers are always going to be there. A scholar who I adore, his name is Joseph Campbell, and he talks about the hero's journey. He kind of coined the term the hero's journey. It's the monomyth, the one mythology that links all cultures. And he talks about that we're each heroes of our own journey. And if you look back on your life along the way, you'll find people who are always there to help. We have helpers in our lives. So I can be that helper, or a classmate can be that helper. But it's important to ask for help, because someone will always be there for you. Don't worry, if you forget that, I will remind you repeatedly. Help is a good thing. I also put on here on our syllabus some information about reading that I discussed earlier. Reading is problem solving, and it's helpful to see reading that way. You don't have to know it all. You can problem solve and troubleshoot as you go. It's a much more generous and useful skill to be able to think critically and troubleshoot than it is to know everything there is to know in the world. If you keep scrolling, you'll see our grading scale broken down in points. These are our grading categories: discussions online, your journals, quizzes, and projects, your writing projects. Then our units are short story. We start with that. We go into poetry. We move into play or drama, and then fiction. So we have 4 over 6 weeks. And so it is quite a bit, but you can do it, and I am here to assist. And all you can do is your best, and your best will vary every day. But I believe in you, and I know you can believe in yourself too. If you're having doubts, that's what our class community is here for, is to help one another. So here's our breakdown of points. All discussions are due by Saturday at 11:59. You are Cinderella on Saturday, a minute before midnight. Your work will be due. And if you're not sure, you can check your calendar online. We can go over that more if you have questions. But please scroll over the syllabus. There will be a discussion online for you to talk about the syllabus, any questions or concerns or things you're curious about. It's important. This is a living, breathing document. I just want to draw your attention to the end of the syllabus. It's very, very important for you to be aware of what your needs are and to communicate your needs to me or to someone else so you can have those needs met. Again, we are all here to help one another. If you need an accommodation, if you need Microsoft for free, there's a link on here. And then we also have NetTutor embedded into our classroom on the side here. And then it's a free service. You can kind of outsource your papers, and you can ask classmates, and we can do that during our Zoom sessions. We have lots of resources. We also have VC tutoring. So welcome to the syllabus. There's going to be questions and concerns, and that's a good thing. Welcome to the class, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you.